This is Tony Chimmel, and I'd like to introduce the hosts of the Game Marks podcast, George Feis and Johnny Clash.
Welcome to the Game Marks podcast, where each and every week we take a deep dive into the good, the bad, and the awesome of all things video games. I'm the man they call Johnny Clash.
My name is George Feis, and today we are playing the classic, the tried and true, some people's favorite TMNT game, Turtles in Time, for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. And gotta talk about WWE 2K25.
And please subscribe and leave a 5-star review for this podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and follow us on all forms of social media at GameMarksPod. And don't forget, you can get this episode early and ad-free at patreon.com/podexchange, along with the show notes, Discord access, live recordings, giveaways, and more from us and Dylan Postel.
Oh, man.
Georgie boy, lots of things happening here. A lot of goings on or going on.
Well, let's talk about this.
Is that how you
first.
say the phrase?
Yeah, a lot of goings-ons, a lot of happenings.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this. You mentioned the Patreon. You mentioned Dylan Pasta. We got to talk about something that Swoggle has put together. It is ready to go. All we have to do is record it. The next Patreon video that the three of us will be recording is Dylan hosting Muppets Trivia.
Dylan used technology, and I'm scared.
It's crazy. And the stipulation for that Patreon show will be everyone that we get wrong. It's a bean boozle.
We do not know Muppets. At least I don't know Muppets.
No, I don't. I do believe that Dylan said his guess is you get 40% and I get 60%.
I think I'll get maybe 10.
I said that those numbers are both way too high for both of us.
I should start studying. I'm going to start studying.
I don't think that. I think he has some really, really deep cuts that studying is not going to help.
Oh, damn. All right, well, either way, that's going to be fun. I'm just now looking forward to eating some beans.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time. It's going to be really, really fun. And like John said, the only place that you can get that exclusive content is over at patreon.com/podexchange. But let's have a little follow-up from last episode where we played the NES classic Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. How are you feeling 2 weeks out?
Still such a hard game. Fun because it's Ninja Turtles, but then, like I said at the end of that episode, I future endeavored it because I would rather play a game like today's game or Shredder's Revenge or the arcade game. And I think after this episode's done, I'm probably going to feel the same way about it. But still, it does hold that little special place in this little tiny black heart of mine, and it always will. So,
yeah, I feel the same. It was challenging, and like I said, it was a play it forever from me. It was a future endeavor from you. So I still feel the same as I felt in that episode. It is challenging, but in a way that it is you want to go back to it and keep playing. And I don't know. It just has. I messaged you in the end of last week, and I said I have had a song stuck in my head for the past couple of days, and I cannot pinpoint what it is. And it was the Overworld City music from the NES TMNT game. So I can only imagine what song is going to be stuck from this week's game. But before we get into that, let's talk about the big reveal that happened, John. WWE 2K25. Roman Reigns is the cover star. And all of the additions, the covers, every single cover looks awesome. You've got the Bloodline on the cover. You've got the Undertaker Deadman edition, and all of this is coming out. Editions. All this is coming out. What is it, March 7th?
7th for the pre-order, 14th for standard edition.
Man, oh man.
The cover looks awesome. Roman looks cool. It's in the same style that Cody was in last year. They were really killing it with those covers. The Bloodline looks cool. You got Sammy in there in the little family tree. The Undertaker one, the art is insane. But when
that's a poster immediately. Like if you are an Undertaker fan, a collector of Undertaker, that may be one of the coolest covers with Taker on it.
But when are we gonna stop doing Deadman editions? Are they getting played out yet? Just put all the Undertakers in the damn game.
Is it? What was the one that they had the casket?
Oh, that was an earlier 2K.
Yeah,
But we had
that was
the Dead Man edition the past few years, so I don't know. It gets a little old. But I think it's going to be cool. We get the showcase featuring the Bloodline. They're all in there. Jacob Fatu, Toma Tonga. It's going to be really cool to relive all that. I'm sure the Sammy stuff, the Cody stuff.
Oh yeah.
Showcase this year ended with Roman beating Cody, so you could only imagine this year we're going to go up to Cody beating Roman.
Which
also,
means you get Final Boss Rock, all that.
Also, they're getting rid of the cutscenes in showcase mode finally.
That's
been a big complaint. I never minded them. I thought it was cool. I just thought as a streamer who streamed the games, I had to cut out a lot. I couldn't put them on YouTube. I had to remove the audio. It was such an ordeal.
Yeah.
And not only that, but some of the finishes were done in those cutscenes. So you would skip them and it would just be like, all right, you passed after like a body slam. You're like, oh, that's kind of lame. So it is cool now you get to play out the entire match. I'm sure people will find other complaints about it. But
what was 16 though was the one that we said that we liked because it just I know that we played a lot of 16 for
that was the Stone Cold Showcase mode.
Yeah, but that was the one where everything played out, and they did it for a couple of years, but that one for some reason stands out where it was you played out through those scenarios. It wasn't like they just rendered them within the video game graphics. Like, things were happening by the announce table. They had cutscenes, but it wasn't like they were cutting to actual footage. If memory serves, I might be wrong on that.
Yeah, I think it was that. But we're getting some good stuff this year. Chain wrestling's back. I don't know how I feel about this. I'm sure you'll be able to
turn it off.
I hated it back then, but I feel like they'll make it okay now. Hopefully it's not like too long and drawn out, but for my sick brain who knows how a wrestling match works, I do like the fact that we can start a match with it and not just run at each other and start hitting pile drivers and all that. But for video game's sake, I don't know how that helps the pace of a match.
I can't wait to hear what you're gonna say about what you're gonna say when we're in the middle of doing a match in 25 and you're like, all right, 12 minutes into the match, chain wrestling.
Well, hopefully they make it like last time where you don't do it 12 minutes into a match. It's only in the beginning.
I think that will most likely be a feature very similarly to how they've handled the pinning mechanic and the submission mechanic. It'll be an option that you can either turn on, turn off, change the interaction. It'll be something that's not just like this is in the game and you just have to kind of accept it. They've been really good the last couple of years of giving players the ability to kind of customize their experience in a way where if they are more inclined to like one mini game over another, they kind of give you that option.
Yeah, hopefully. And hopefully it's a nice, easy meter to use, and then I will have no problem with it. We're also getting Bloodline rules matches where I'm sure they're just insane no DQ run-ins everywhere. I don't know if you set who runs in or whatnot, but that seems pretty cool, I guess.
It's like a Samoan gauntlet match.
Yeah. Underground matches, which are no rope matches that we used to see on, what was it, like NXT Underground? Raw Underground?
Raw Underground, yeah.
Do they still do those? I don't think they even do them anymore.
I think now it's a like a match type. So like how it says an underground match, it's not like its own show, how like Raw Underground was its own show. Now you can have just like an underground match and it's just it's kind of like Bloodsport.
We'll see if we use it, I guess. I don't know. Could be cool. As long as they change the mechanics of the match like Fire Pro does, I think that would be cool. You got barricade diving, which makes its return. That's kind of cool. And the island, which if you're familiar with NBA 2K, it's similar. You're pretty much on an island. You have to fight your way, do some challenges so you can earn a contract from Roman Reigns. This is not coming to PC, which does affect us, but that's okay. That's okay. Also, I believe PC is getting the PS4, Xbox One version of the game once again. Someone's like, oh, why? I'm like, 300 wrestlers, like there's a lot to these games, and I don't think people's PCs can handle this for the majority.
Yeah,
I get it, but at the same time, that kind of sucks.
Yeah, I would imagine that as game developers, there's they have to play to the masses, and sometimes I would imagine more often than not, people are just walking into Best Buy and buying a computer, so the the game has to function for that.
I feel seen. Yeah, I mean, my computer has problems running Madden fully, so I could only imagine what 2K would do to it. But we're going to see, because I'm going to get it on PC this time, not Xbox, and yeah, should be fun. My GM is now online, which I know a lot of people were asking for, and it's up to 4 players, so that could be really cool. Have our own little online GM mode. Maybe we take that to the YouTube as well. I don't know. We could try
that could
it
be
out.
fun.
And universe mode, which is one of our favorites that we use all the time, is adding promos and some new cutscenes that have been added back in. So honestly, it all sounds pretty damn great. Hopefully it delivers. I don't see how it couldn't, because listen, 23 and 24, I would say even 22, I have played more than any other wrestling game of the past 10, 15 years. So I'm very excited. I'm going to play the crap out of them, and I can't wait.
Yeah, they've been really good, and it's like we've said the last couple of years, they're just taking a good foundation and they're building upon it to add more stuff, and this seems like they're just following that code. And we've talked about it numerous times over the past number of years.
Something wrong with it.
Well, but I was just going to say, over the past couple of years, as we've gone through all the generations of like the same games, like the SmackDown versus Raws and the 2Ks, once you've got that good foundation, you just add more features to make the game more, expansive in its match types and the roster, and you find ways that you can keep the game within certain size constraints but still add more content. I think they've got that formula down pretty well the last couple of years. So I'm like you. I'm very, very excited.
Now, I saw some crazy stuff. I saw some people asking for the 2K22 pin system to come back, which I will not play the game if that's the case. That's the meter that bounces. I saw someone say that because of the success of AEW's Fight Forever, they added chain wrestling because they feel threatened. That one had really funny replies and comments, because that person is just absolutely delusional. And I'm sure as it gets closer, we're going to find some more really funny stuff that people are going to say, because they think they speak to the masses. Now, George, I have learned not to listen to wrestling fans and not to listen to wrestling video game fans, because of the sheer fact, when I was playing through Showcase mode on Twitch and YouTube, and I posted the matches, there were some people saying, how did you beat this? I couldn't get past blah, 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 or I couldn't 100% this match. And they could not make it more cookie cutter. Step 1, 2, 3, do this, this, and this to beat the match. So either you're 11 years old or you don't know how to play video games. So stop bitching and enjoy the game.
Well, I will say this. There have been issues in the past where in certain cases it happened to me. I don't remember in which game, but the prompts of what you're supposed to do next just never, like, you hit a certain point and they just went away. And when
this is this year's game, that doesn't happen.
But it happened in one of the previous 2K games, and I was just like, what am I supposed to do next? And I was like, maybe I'm just supposed to.
I don't understand. I don't get it.
It just like never came up, and I was like, oh, that's weird.
And it was like one of the first matches too, like Ricky Steamboat, Macho Man, and I'm like, this is match number 2, guys. Like, if you really think it's that hard, maybe it's time to play. I don't know, Rocket League or something. But that's my tangent. I'm going to go off this episode. We have another game that we have to play. Oh, also, that means that we're going to be playing 2K24 really soon on this show. Maybe even... No, not next. We're still in February. Really soon. But are you ready to take the plunge? Are you ready to take the deep dive down the sewer for Turtles in Time?
Cowabunga, John.
Looking to add the newest wrestling figures to your lineup? There's no better spot to pick up your next figure than the Wrestling Collector Shop.
Started by collectors for collectors around the globe, Wrestling Collector Shop has been serving the fans the latest and greatest in wrestling action figures since 2002. So the next time you're looking for the newest wrestling collectible to add to your collection, make sure go to WrestlingCollectorShop.com and use code GameMarks to save yourself 10% on your order.
That's 10% off your order with code GameMarks at WrestlingCollectorShop.com.
All right, the deep dive is always brought to you by our friends over at Wrestling Collector Shop. Make sure to use code GameMarks and save yourself 10% over at WrestlingCollectorShop.com. Let's get into it. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Turtles in Time, released August 15th, 1992 as an arcade game and the Super Nintendo, developed by Konami, published by Ultra Games. Man, oh man, how do you start? This is a classic side-scrolling beat-em-up with the Ninja Turtles. It is classic vintage Ninja Turtles story. It's Shredder just wreaking chaos and havoc. And he has stole. What'd you say?
Back in time.
There you go. Shredder has stolen the Statue of Liberty, and it's just a crazy sentence to say. And yeah, it is. We've talked about it in the gameplay, but we could talk about it here again. You have fond memories of playing this game. I do as well.
So here's the thing. I didn't have a Super Nintendo, as we've said.
Mhm.
So I didn't play this until either at a friend's house or way later when I could get on like the school library emulator back in like 9th grade and figure it out. But it's one of those games that just sticks with you and stays memorable the whole time.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's the Ninja Turtles. It's what you loved growing up. Every single person our age range loved the Ninja Turtles and has probably played either this or the arcade game.
Oh, yeah,
If not both.
absolutely.
And
Yeah,
that's kind of everyone's launching point for video games. So I hate that I missed out on it as a young lad, but I did play the arcade game a lot, and I did play the NES version a lot. So I made up for lost time with Turtles in Time later.
I do think my first experience with this was at an arcade, and then the only other time I played it was like you, very similarly to you, was at friends' houses and then at whatever arcade when they had the arcade cabinets. But this is the 7th TMNT game in the lineup. So you've got the game that we played last week, our last episode, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for the NES. Then you have the arcade game in '89. Then you have Fall of the Foot Clan on the Game Boy in 1990. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, Back from the Sewers on Game Boy in 91. Manhattan Missions, which is a 91 MS-DOS game. And then you have TMNT 3, The Manhattan Project on the NES in 91.
And then there's 13 games after this one because they
Long
keep going.
lineage.
Think of the TMNT movie, not that's what it was called, TMNT. There's that. Then there's the Michael Bay version of the games. There's all the Game Boy games. There's everything in between. There's the Brawls. There's one that's a similar side scroll later on that's like this one, but I think it's also based on TMNT, that Sarah Michelle Gellar movie. That's that's all I remember who's in it.
Oh, okay. And then there's the one that is the most recent as of recording, which is Shredder's Revenge.
Shredder's Revenge. And I think there's going to be a couple more coming out. Last Ronin is a game that's in development. Yeah. That should be a hell of a lot of fun.
And it seems like there's more games that are even following this style, or the Shredder's Revenge style, because it was so successful. Now you have the Power Rangers style game that's coming out as well. We'll see what else.
All for it. But there are combat enhancements from the previous game, so from last week's game and from the arcade game. You can now grab your enemies and slam them back and forth to the ground, or throw them directly at the screen, which was a lot of fun. There's special attacks. Each turtle has their own, and you could clearly tell them apart. They're pretty cool. And there's co-op play. You could load up with a friend like we did. Go check it out on YouTube. We played through a couple levels. We had a lot of fun. We surfed. We died. We laughed. We got electrocuted. And yeah, we ate a lot of pizza to restore our health because that's what it does. There's also the power up. There's like the invincibility one. I think it's the bomb where you go around in a circle and you could
spin.
Use your little signature move with your weapons. That one was really cool.
But we got to talk about one of the things that makes, we mentioned it off the podcast. We mentioned it in the playthrough. It's the immersement of how you are going through these levels, the sound design, the level design, the graphics we talked about in the last game, they were good. They were NES game, or the NES graphics. They aged pretty well, all things considered. And now you look at an NES game. It's also a TMNT game, and this is the same. It has those beautiful 16-bit sprites and the just immense world building with layers of background. There's enemies can jump from behind chain link fences and through windows, and they jump out of the sewer covers.
It's so beautiful.
It is such a well-rounded experience, and there feels like there's something for everyone. Like you like the bonus levels where you're surfing through the sewers, if you like the elevator level that happens at the end of Technodrome, if you like just the regular side scrolling and you just want to hear that first level of Big Apple 3 a.m. Like there's something for everyone.
And they changed the difficulty. It's way more balanced and fun than the previous NES game.
I'd say it's more forgiving.
Way more forgiving. It's still kind of tricky because you get kind of stuck sometimes with the movement and all that because it is clunky. You're on the SNES controller. I mean, it's nothing special here. But I don't know. I think that the improvements that they made were pretty damn good. Just like we were saying kind of in the Super Mario episodes when we jumped from NES to Super Nintendo, it's not a big jump, but the capabilities and what they know they can do just makes it's just beautiful. You feel like you're watching the cartoon, like you're in the action. It's not just one of those like simulation games where you're doing stuff and kind of the players taking over. It's you're doing it, you're jumping, you're attacking, the guys are coming up from the ground, and it just makes it such a better experience in my opinion.
So you're saying that the NES version was clunky and the SNES version is better?
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. I agree. I don't even know if clunky is the right word. It was just,
I was saying the controls are clunky.
Oh, okay.
Because it's old.
I thought you meant like the movement and stuff. No, it just felt very, this, you're fighting on a different plane. You can go up and down and left and right. You're on that,
you can go
three-dimensional
diagonal
grid. Yeah. You're on that 3-dimensional grid where you can, go foreground, background. And
you know what it's a lot like? Sonic the Hedgehog, which came out a year or two before this. Sonic 2, I think, came out on, the same year, I think 92 with this. But when you get to the boss battles, that's what I'm referring to, not running around collecting rings.
I was going to say, because you can go up and down on the, the diagonal. I was like, is there a Sonic game that you can do that?
The boss battles, the way you can get behind the guy, get in front of him. You could get like, I don't want to say in him, like, you know what I mean? Like you're on top of
like
them.
a pattern that they follow, and you can learn the pattern and learn how to dodge and put yourself in. And
they're hitting them. They stop and they like flinch, and you could just keep hitting them for a little bit until they electrocute you and send you flying.
I will say the most iconic thing for games of this time that just felt so nostalgic is as you beat up the boss and they start to blink.
Yeah. That reminded me the most of Sonic, which is a game I played so much. So
iconic.
That's why I compare it to that. People are like, "Oh, there's nothing like Sonic," but
no, I
have my opinions.
I wanted to make sure that I was understanding.
Let's get into the story here. Shredder and Krang steal the Statue of Liberty from New York City, which is crazy to think about. That's an act of terrorism, and I think we would need more than the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles to stop them. But this is the best we got. They set out to stop them. Shredder traps them in a time warp, sending them across different timelines, and along the way, they defeat iconic villains that you've seen in the TV show, in the video games, everywhere. And after battling their way back into the present, they face Shredder finally in the Technodrome at the end. And once they defeat him, the Statue of Liberty returns to its rightful place. And of course, once you go through, you see April O'Neil, you see Splinter, you see the whole gang, and of course, all of the bad guys.
Man, it is a very Ninja Turtles in the 90s storyline, that is for sure. But absolutely. in the best possible way. I mean, there is nothing more cartoon comic book than stealing a giant statue and sending people to travel through time. That is cartoon and or comic book 101.
Yeah, and it flows very nicely, and the bad guys and the whole background that you're running through, it all is so distinct and so nice. Oh man, they really hit a home run with the graphics and everything in this
Oh
game.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
let's take a quick little break and let's come back. Let's talk about the levels and the bosses. All right, we are back. So you start this game in the Big Apple at 3 in the morning. You're on the bridge. Might be the Brooklyn Bridge.
You gotta
Might-
say it right. You gotta say it right.
Go for it.
Big Apple, 3 a.m.
Big Apple, 3 a.m. You fight eventually Baxter Stockman in mutant fly form. He's flying around with a ray gun, and you have to defeat him before his eyes shoot you with lasers. Now, in the arcade version and the remake, he says, "Prepare to die" to the turtles, but not in the Super Nintendo version, probably because of the rating. But not
wait.
something what?
Did you mention? I'm sorry, I was reading the next thing. Did you mention Krang?
No, Krang's big head
Krang
comes
comes
up
out
from the
and he
side of
shoots
the
you with the
bridge.
lasers. That's
Yeah.
nuts.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that is, I would think a lot of people would say, is the most iconic level. It feels the same way that the first level in Super Mario feels. Like if you've played this game, that's the level that you remember. It's like you just like you remember the first level and the second level from Super Mario. You just
Yep.
that is the iconic one for this game.
Now, I was saying while we were playing how, yeah, of course, that's iconic. You know, it skews my brain because I played so much of the Power Rangers game on Sega, and it's very similar to this level, that I think of that one over this.
What's that
It-
level?
It's pretty much the same. It's like a big bridge, like a city bridge. So that one, I think, crosses over somewhere. My wires cross, and that's the
Does
one I
that
think
have
of.
like a specific name? Because you know how a lot of them, like this one is Ninja Turtles, Turtles in Time. Does that have like a post name?
Power Rangers Sega Genesis. We played it. It's just Mighty Morphin Power Rangers for Sega Genesis.
Oh, it's that one. Yeah, okay. That's the
And,
one that I was thinking of, but I know that there's a whole slew of them. There's like the movie game, and then there's
that game was
everything that
awesome,
comes
too.
after that.
No, here, I can send you right now, and you can see why they mesh
Oh,
together in my
man.
head.
I forgot
Um,
about this game.
So I was saying the next level, Alley Cat Blues, is what I think of
Yep.
with this game, where you fight Metalhead at
Absolutely.
the end. But then you get the bonus level, Sewer Surfing, which is so much fun. You're on the little surfboards in the sewer, and you have to fight the bad guys and kill the Rat King at the end.
And then, of course, you have the iconic Ninja Turtles Technodrome. This is a part one, I guess, of Technodrome, because you go back to it at the end of the game. But this is Technodrome Let's Kick Shell, and this is this is the SNES exclusive, and this was a level that was originally supposed to be in the arcade cabinet, but was scrapped due to time constraint. Now,
Makes sense. You go back to it, so.
oh yeah, but this is the first appearance of the Mouser bots or Mouser droids or whatever, the Mouser enemies.
I liked those guys as a kid.
I
don't
there's
know why.
those, and there's the what are the other ones that the ones that like roll around?
Yeah. Oh, I don't know their name. I
can't
know what you
remember
mean, though.
Their name is.
And this is also where you meet the iconic Toka and Razor, and you battle both of them at the same time at the end.
Hold on,
So that's
I want to look that up.
All right, look that up. But then you go into the prehistoric Turtlesaurus level, where you go into the Stone Age, the Stone Warriors, and the dinosaurs appear, and you fight Cement Man in the arcade version and Slash in the SNES version. What you got? You got anything? Slash was so cool, wasn't he?
Are they unicycles? Robotic unicycles? What are they called? Robot walkers?
I'm seeing robotic unicycles as their name.
They were called boxing robots, and they were only in the arcade version. Oh, that's a different one.
Roadkill
Those are the ones that have
Rodneys?
the wheels. I want the little robots that like had the whip.
Oh,
The Mousers are the little ones that jump through the glass on Technodrome, but the 2 levels before in Alley Cat Blues, you get the oh no, I guess it is the boxing robots that you talked about.
okay.
I just thought that they had a different
confusing
name, like there were 2 versions of them, but
Then there's Skull and Crossbones. This one's cool. I really like this one. It's a pirate ship. And Toka and Reza are the bosses on the SNES version. I'm sorry, in the arcade version, but then Bebop and Rocksteady replaced them in the SNES version. So I guess we got to get Bebop and Rocksteady in there, you know?
did we talk about Prehistoric Turtlesaurus?
Yes, we did, while you were looking that up.
Sorry about that.
Bury My Shell at Wounded Knee is a train in the Wild West. The boss is Leatherhead. Neon Knight Riders. This takes place in the future, and in the SNES version, it's a bonus stage, and the boss is Krang's android body. We all know who that guy is. You see him in the Big Apple.
That is a very innovative level. I will say that Neon Knight Riders is. It almost feels
iconic.
It almost feels like Mario Kart-ish.
Or the bonus. I'm gonna do it again. The bonus stages in Sonic. Do you remember those?
The ones where you have to
your front
you're
face
just spinning and
you
have to go into through the maze. Those mazes. Oh, I hear that music.
Everyone
in
hates
my
Sonic.
head
I
right
love
now.
Sonic.
That is a great ooh, are we gonna have to do like Sonic 1 and 2?
I think so.
Is that coming up? But yeah, that's
Sonic 2 on my
another
phone.
Neon Knight Riders, another like you said, iconic level. Very, very memorable for this game as well. And then Starbase, where no turtle has gone before. This is obviously a level set in space. There are robot walkers here as well, and the boss is Krang in the UFO. And then finally, John,
Krang just keeps coming back.
take us through the final level.
The Technodrome, the final shell shock place in obviously the Technodrome, but the Statue of Liberty is in the background because you're trying to get it back. Now, this is a boss battle with Super Shredder on the SNES version and normal Shredder in the arcade and the reshelled version. So, SNES, if you're doing it, you get the big old Kevin Nash Super Shredder. So, that's really cool.
Oh, yeah.
So, a lot of iconic stages here, a lot of iconic bad guys that you fight.
But nothing more iconic than the turtles themselves, John.
The turtles themselves. We mentioned in the NES version, each turtle had its own weapons, its own strengths, weaknesses. They do not veer too off here because you got Leonardo with the katanas. His strengths, he's pretty well-rounded. He's got kind of even playing field. He's, I guess, the better option. At least if you're playing 2 players, one person should at least be Leonardo. He's got the special attack where he spins the katanas in a wide arc for crowd control, kind of takes everybody out around him. Donatello's bow staff, it has the long range attack, like we said last week, allowing him to hit the enemies from a distance so you don't get hit as much. But the attack speed's a little bit slower, and his special is, again, circular motion to clear the nearby enemies. Michelangelo's got the nunchucks. He's got the speed. He's a little more fun to play. His facials, and he's spinning them. Everyone loves Michelangelo. He's got a fast attack speed, but shorter attack range. And he also spins the nunchucks around in a frenzy. That's his special. I'm demonstrating for those not watching.
It's great. It's great.
George
You got to watch
Jones
the video version to see John demonstrating how the nunchucks go.
Raphael's got the size, which are very close range, but they're powerful. Fastest speed movement about, I think, with all of them, he's the fastest, I would say. High damage for the close-up attacks, and that's kind of also the weakness. You kind of got to get the closest out of all of them to the attacker, and they are a little bit relentless, those foot soldiers. And his special attack, he spins in a rapid whirlwind, damaging everybody. So all kind of similar special attacks, but animated differently, animated beautifully, I might say.
They really did some excellent sprite work, both in the world sprites and the animation sprites for the turtles and the enemies as well. We talked about it before. It really just helps with the overall experience and the memorability of this game. It's something that sticks with you because it is such a bright, vibrant, colorful game that it is it definitely makes it for a impactful game experience, especially when you're young and you're playing this game.
Yeah, absolutely.
But let's get into something that is I don't think I remember it like this. I think I remember the title screen and not so much the box art, because I do not remember. This was pretty much how I knew I never had this game as a kid, because I would have remembered this box art. Like,
Yeah, it's kind of terrifying.
I don't remember this at all. But that being said, it tells a very, very cool story of what you're about to get into. It paints almost the whole picture of the show. You've got the turtles, you've got the Statue of Liberty, you've got the train, you've got dinosaurs, you've got Krang, you've got a pirate ship, you've got the surfboard. It paints the entire picture of what your experience playing this game is about to be.
And it says, Board Shredder's Terror Tour Through Time, direct from the second arcade hit, nonstop to your house. No tokens required. It's Konami's hottest turtle game of all time, and it sure shit is. It's got that beautiful Turtles in Time logo that looks like it's made out of prehistoric, like, concrete. Turtles 4 up top. Now, this is something I don't really like. Turtles 4 is on one line, so it's the usual TMNT logo. They just tilted Turtles to the left and
A little bit more
Roman numeral 4 at the end of it. It looks really weird.
Yeah.
But you see everything, like George said. You see the pirate ship, the dinosaur, the train. It's all there. They look terrifying, but it's so cool. It's great artwork. And in the back, Shredder's got some time to kill. 3 billion years of high-tech turtle terror with the 4 screenshots. What more do you want?
And big bold text on the bottom. Team up for double turtle trouble with a partner, or have yourself a solo slam fest. This almost sounds, if you get rid of the turtle in there, this could be a wrestling cover.
Yeah.
Like that's a wrestling line.
Oh man. Now let's go into like the graphics here, the HUD and everything. You kind of mentioned while I'm playing this, sometimes the HUD gets lost in the background. It's up top. It's got
just
your health bar, your points. Yeah, it could be a little confusing to look at. It's got how many replays you have left, how many lives, I should say. But it's out of the way, at least, especially now we're used to widescreen games that to see something up top tucked away, it's like, God, that's a no-brainer. It's easy to just forget.
Yeah, and it was only in like certain scenarios that you would kind of lose the, as your health bar, the gradient fades to that white when it's full. In certain scenarios, you would lose that in the background. It wasn't all the time. It was just certain scenarios. I was just like, oh, that's kind of weird. Like I was trying to see how much health I had, and I couldn't quite get it. But
yeah,
man, from the depth of field that you're getting in that first level to how depth of field really is the name of the game here. It is, they are playing with so much space on such a small grid that first level is just a great example. You're on a scaffold, or you're on a, not a scaffold, you're on
a bridge.
It's it's like a girder. Or I guess it is like scaffold, or like the foundation of a building. But you're high up in the New York City skyline, and you see so many buildings in the background. And then towards the middle and the end of the level, when Krang pops up and he starts shooting the lasers, like there's a real big world feel for an SNES game, and that continues even throughout the alley. I think and even when they're trying to keep you confined in small spaces like the elevator or in the Technodrome, like I don't know, they just do such a good job of making you feel immersed in whatever scenario they're putting you in.
Yeah, I agree. It's just so well developed, well designed. I guess they had to after the NES game and the feedback from it, but
it's kind of like what we talked about with wrestling games earlier at the top of the episode. You take the foundation of something, you build it, and you improve it as technology and the game development and game design gets better.
Now I'm looking at the arcade game. It's also very, very similar to this. That the two
Okay.
could be sometimes confused a little bit, but it's also just in the same realm. It's just beautiful. They did a really good job with these two games and
Oh yeah.
pretty much everything after it, to be honest. But yeah, did you know? Did you know Turtles in Time was later released as Turtles in Time Reshelled in 2009, a 3D remake for Xbox Live Arcade and PlayStation Network, but many fans still prefer the SNES original.
Oh. Did you know players can throw enemies at the screen? A groundbreaking, revolutionary feature that made the game stand out and added a unique interactive element to the beat-em-up genre.
Oh, here we go. Did you know Turtles in Time is on eBay for $30 to $50 used, cartridge only, $400 complete with posters and inserts, $1,299 sealed, and $1,499 with a 9.0 CGC grade.
Man, oh man.
So this is an expensive one. Now, have you looked up the 3D version?
I have not.
I don't think I ever want to play it.
Uh-oh.
It's like when WWE did WrestleFest over again.
Okay.
But it's 3D. Like, you see the same stuff, like, you're in the same levels, but they're 3D, and it's the Turtles from the 2009 era, like the ones that nobody really cared for. Remember those? Remember that version?
Yeah. That's I'm looking it up right now. That's an interesting.
I guess I do kind of want to give it a shot, but it's pretty strange.
What is that called again? It's
The game?
Yeah, no.
Reshelled?
Reshelled, that's what it is.
Yeah. I guess cool that they did it, but yeah, I wouldn't prefer that one either. Now, here's a little bonus. Did you know? The Neon Knight Rider level that we talked about earlier, which takes place in like the future, it was one of the first Mode 7 graphics on the SNES, which allows to create dynamic, rotating, and scaled backgrounds, giving the level a pseudo 3D effect as you ride hoverboards. This cutting-edge visual effect was one of the highlights of the game and made it stand out at the time.
Yeah,
I agree.
It's what we talked about before when we brought up that level, man. It is so different. It feels like you are playing a different game. It feels like suddenly you're in Mario Kart or F-Zero or any of that. It totally changes the perspective of the game because now it's like graphically it looks the same, but your environment is very different. It's crazy, man.
Yeah. But I think it's time for some ratings and reviews. Are you ready to sit back and relax?
Let's do it.
All right. Turtles in Time. I got it right here. Game Rankings gives this an 83%. Now, the arcade version, All Game gives it a 4 out of 5 stars, and Playmeter gives it a 9 out of 10. Now, for the Super Nintendo, EGM gives it a 36 out of 40, Mean Machines an 80%, Nintendo Power a 4 out of 5, Game Zero an 84.5 out of 100, Game Zone a 93%, Nintendojo 9.4 out of 10, and SNES Force 75. Generally positive reviews here. I mean, you're comparing it to the arcade game, you're comparing it to the NES game, so there's only one way to go, and that is up.
Man, oh man, that is that is quite the I can't say that I'm surprised. This game is right, like widely regarded as one of the best arcade ports or arcade games or SNES games or Ninja Turtle games like ever.
It made the top 10 of 92. It was number 7 for Nintendo Power. So that's pretty cool.
When I feel people, at least people that I know that have brought up TMNT games in the past, this is always the one that they talk about.
Now, Complex Magazine listed the game 9th in the best Super Nintendo games of all time. And in 2013, Arcade Sushi ranked this number 10 on the 10 best retro beat-em-ups of all time. So,
okay,
pretty cool, man. I think most people like how close it was to the cartoon and how you had pretty much the same characters, mannerisms, and all that.
Damn,
Now,
that's
oh, here's something else. Reshelled was based on the arcade version rather than the SNES version. So the extra
Yeah.
stages and enemies were not included in there.
I do
It
remember
also
when that
featured
came
a
out.
survival mode, quick play, with achievements and trophies.
Gotta have those achievements and trophies.
All right, now we heard the ratings from the professionals. It's time for the ratings from us schmucks, George, because right now, it's time to rate the game.
The game!
George Feis,
Yes, sir.
Turtles in Time. Play it forever. Future endeavor.
To play it forever, man. It's from start to finish, from top to bottom. This just is an enjoyable experience. The controls, the environments, the sound design, the sprites, everything about it is just, the nostalgia holds up 100% in every way. The it just is a cool experience, and it held up very, very well. So it is a big old play it forever from me. And now I turn the question over to you, John. Turtles in Time. Will you play it forever or future endeavor?
Big ol' play it forever. It's the Ninja Turtles. It's as close as you're going to get to the cartoon of Ninja Turtles in video game form. So why not play it forever? This is a game we're always going to go back to. It's always going to be readily available. Shredder's Revenge comes really close because it is like the spiritual successor, even though there's 13 games in between. And I think I will definitely be going back to Turtles in Time throughout my lifetime. And it's one that little girl in the room next to me will probably also play one day.
It's very colorful.
She does love the turtles already.
There you go. All right, but let us know on all forms of social media at Game Marks Pod what you thought of Turtles in Time, and if you would give it a play it forever or future endeavor. But with that, Johnny, you're ready to get into this week's Softlock. Softlock. All right, the Softlock. It's a segment of the podcast where one of our mega marks from Patreon gives us a topic to debate, a question to answer. It's a question of the week with a fancy name. This week, it comes from the Elder Spork, and Spork's question is, with your tax refund coming in, you get to pick one piece of gaming memorabilia. Whether it's a special edition release or an actual historical collecting piece, what would you get? I have one answer queued up, and I think that it is something that we have mentioned no less than 10 times on this podcast.
All right. Is it the same as me?
I want the WWE
Wrestle
hockey game.
Oh, the hockey game.
I want the tabletop hockey game.
Oh, I didn't even think of that. That's a good one.
It is so silly is the only word that I can describe it. It's such a fun, weird piece of wrestling memorabilia that is also a game. And I feel like we have always talked about it. It has come up since I think the first year of the podcast, and I'm sticking with it. I still think it's great. But your answer is also very, very good. John, what's your answer?
So WrestleFest arcade cabinet would be awesome. But now that I'm thinking about it, you know what would be really cool to have? Like a game kiosk.
Ooh, like the old GameCube, like GameStop,
GameCube,
Electronics Boutique.
Yeah, or like the original Xbox with like Halo on it or something.
Oh yeah, that would be cool.
Or even like a Dave and Buster's Guitar Hero.
Cool too.
Like just turn around, it's right here behind me.
Just like a full arcade cabinet. Yeah, that's awesome.
Something
What
like
about
that.
what about Royal Rumble arcade game
That would be cool too. That
for
I have.
the which is the Xbox or Dreamcast?
No, that was Dreamcast.
Dreamcast,
But
yeah.
I played the arcade cabinet a lot. A lot. It was at the resort growing up, and we went every year.
Shout out to Liam Davis.
Yeah, I always
was
looked
his
forward
game.
to playing that on the arcade game, and I would get so pissed at the Big Show because he was bigger and powerful and always eliminate you from the Royal Rumble. Waste your quarters. Yeah, that's really cool. But let us know if you're getting a tax return, because I'm probably not, that
No.
what piece of gaming memorabilia you would want to pick up.
All right. But with that, John, would you like to
The
know
hell is this?
what we are playing next week? So,
Please.
while compiling the list of all the wrestling video games that we would have to play on this podcast, there was one game that had a very odd name, but in the research of putting the list together, apparently this is with an asterisk next to it, potentially the first ever wrestling video game ever released. It is an arcade game. I believe it is pronounced Apu,
So it's the Simpsons wrestling.
but it is a wrestling arcade game. And every time that I have looked it up, multiple sources have stated that it is one of, if not the first wrestling games ever made. And
Interesting.
I believe it is developed by Sega.
It looks like something else we've played. Maybe like one of the Ultimate Muscle Kaneko Man wrestling games for the NES or something.
That's possible. I want to see. Yeah. Published by Sega.
Huh.
1984 arcade cabinet.
It looks cool, I guess. Let's
Very, very
let's check it
interesting.
out. Oh god, researching this one should be a lot of fun.
Gotta figure out how to pronounce it correctly. I don't know if it's Apuo or Apu.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out. We got
The
we got 2 weeks.
logo. The logo has like an
Apo.
emphasis on the OH.
APPOOOH. Apo.
So- I wonder if it's like Apuo. I don't know.
I don't know.
Let's see. This is going to be an interesting one. Like you said, it's going to be fun to research and hopefully just as fun to play. But as always, guys, you could check out all the video content that we have over on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/GameMarksPodcast. If you would like to support all of the Pod Exchange shows, that is this show, as well as Going Postal, you can do that over at podexchange.shop. If you would like to check out all the exclusive content we are making, including the Muppets trivia that we talked about earlier, that's over at patreon.com/podexchange. If you would like to pick up an exclusive shirt from our Pro Wrestling Tees store, that's prowrestlingtees.com/GameMarksPod. And if you would like to follow on all forms of social media, we are available at GameMarksPod. And please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell. And if you have a product or service that you would like to advertise on this podcast, you can reach out to us over at GameMarksPod@gmail.com. Johnny Clash, hit him with the cowabunga.
Cowabunga, Marks.
Game Marks Podcast, put them on the radar. Playing rare games, Sega Saturn, no Game Shark. Johnny and George work hard and they play hard. Future endeavor games and put them in the graveyard. From the deep dive to the clash at the feast. How can I get more? That's question of the week. Follow on Twitch, there's nothing that they won't play. Game Marks Podcast every single Monday.